He did not lose in a war. He did not lose to a stronger enemy. He lost while sitting in a room. No weapons, no battlefield, no blood, just a game. A game that slowly took away everything. First his wealth, then his kingdom, then his brothers, and then himself. And still it didn't stop. Because the man who was supposed to protect everything was the one who kept playing. Imagine that moment, not as a story, but as a man sitting there, watching his own decisions destroy his life. Every move he made was not forced, it was chosen. And that is what makes it unbearable. Because when something is taken from you, you can blame fate. But when you lose everything by your own hand, there is nowhere to hide, no one to blame, no escape. Just silence, and the weight of your own choices. This was not just loss, this was collapse. A collapse so complete that even dignity was stripped away. In front of everyone, in front of those who respected him, in front of those who hated him, and in front of the one person who trusted him the most, Draupadi. At that moment, this was not a king anymore. This was a man who had lost the right to even call himself worthy. Now think carefully. What happens to a person after this kind of collapse? Most people would break. Some would react. Some would seek revenge. Some would try to fix everything immediately. Because the mind cannot sit with that level of loss. It wants movement. It wants reaction. It wants escape. But Yudishtira did something different. He did not react. He did not fight. He did not justify himself. He accepted exile for 13 years. No power, no position, no control. At first glance, this looks like defeat, but if you look deeper, this is where the real story begins. Because exile is not just physical distance, it is psychological separation. Separation from noise, separation from pressure, separation from expectation, and most importantly, separation from the identity that just collapsed. When everything is taken from you, you are left with two options. Either you try to rebuild the same life immediately with the same mindset that destroyed it, or you step back and understand what actually went wrong. Yudhishthira did not rush to rebuild. He did not chase immediate recovery. He allowed the gap, because in that gap, there is no distraction, no validation, no progress to show. Only one thing remains: clarity. And clarity is uncomfortable because it forces you to see, not the world, but yourself. In that exile, Yudhishthira was not fighting enemies. He was facing something much more difficult: his own decisions, his own weaknesses, his own illusions. The same man who once believed he was in control now had to question everything. Why did he keep playing? Why did he ignore warning signs? Why did he trust a situation that was clearly against him? These are not questions of fate. These are questions of awareness. And this is where most people fail, because after loss they try to fix outcomes. But the real problem was never the outcome. It was the system that created it. Exile gave him something: time without pressure, no throne to protect, no image to maintain. And in that space, the rebuilding began, not outside but inside. His brothers did not sit idle. Arjuna did not wait for motivation. He trained, he acquired weapons, he expanded capability. Bhima did not complain. He strengthened himself, prepared for what was coming. This was not survival. This was silent preparation. No announcements, no validation, no audience, just consistent, quiet growth. And Yudhishthira? He changed in a different way. He became slower in judgment, more aware in decisions, less reactive, more observant. Because once you see how a single decision can destroy everything, you don't rush again. You become careful, not out of fear, but out of understanding. This is something modern thinking completely ignores. People believe speed solves problems. But this story shows something else. Speed without clarity creates collapse. Slowness with awareness creates power. Years passed. Nothing dramatic. No instant comeback. No visible success. And that is exactly why it worked. Because real rebuilding is not exciting. It is repetitive. It is silent. It is invisible. And that's why most people quit. Because they cannot tolerate a phase where nothing looks like progress. But this is the phase where everything changes. When the exile ended, they did not rush into war. They did not react emotionally. They tried negotiation. They asked for peace, even after everything. Why? Because they were no longer reacting, they were choosing, and when war finally became unavoidable, it was no longer a reaction, it was a decision. And this time they were ready, not just physically, mentally, strategically. Now understand this carefully. The victory did not begin on the battlefield, it began in exile, in that gap where there was no pressure to perform, only the need to understand. Most people today, after losing money, relationships, status, or opportunities, try to recover immediately. They rush, they act fast, they try to prove something, but what they don't realize is they are rebuilding with the same mindset that caused the fall and that guarantees one thing: repetition, different situation, and same result. This story is not about patience. It is about alignment, not about waiting, but about rebuilding the system correctly. Yudhishthira did not rise because he endured pain. He rose because he understood it. He did not escape failure. He studied it, and that changed everything. So if you are in a devastating situation right now, don't ask, "How do I recover quickly?" Ask, "What in my system created this?" Because until that is clear, recovery is just temporary, and you will find yourself here again. Different story, same collapse. Take the gap, use it. Don't fear it, because that gap might be the only place where real rebuilding can happen. If this changed the way you think, let us know in comments. Consider subscribing for more wisdom.